What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. You know we're going to cover this on the Millionaire Morning Show in the morning, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update because we've been talking about, specifically on the Millionaire Morning Show, Eric Adams and everybody in his inner circle, all of his top aides, the New York City chancellor, school chancellor, all of them are recently resigning. Everybody's devices has been getting raided. FBI been kicking in doors, and the only person that has not, been raided up to this point, except for right now, is New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, let me preface this by saying that he already had a target on his back from the New York Survivors Act. So the same act that Cassie had filed a lawsuit from Diddy, Eric Adams had caught a lawsuit from a woman from like 30 years ago, back in the early 90s or something like that, when he was still a part of the police force, and she accused him of something. But that's not related to what's going on here. When his first top aides device got raided, or their whole location or home got raided, they came in and they took all of the mobile devices. The feds came in and they took all of the mobile devices from everybody that was a part of his administration, including Eric Adams himself. Now, Eric Adams has been maintaining a level of innocence and saying, hey, listen, nothing is going on here. I'm 100% positive that everything is on the up and up. But over the last month or so, everybody, all of his top aides, everybody that's a part of his inner circle has been resigning. Even the top lawyer that was directly next to Eric Adams over the last year and a half has resigned. So let's go ahead and go over this article really quickly so I can bring you guys up to speed on what's going on in these streets. It says New York City Mayor Eric Adams is expected to face federal charges. A mayor facing federal charges out of the Southern District of New York as soon as tomorrow. Two sources familiar with the matter Wednesday night. Eric Adams' administration is reeling from a series of high-level resignations amid at least four federal probes. He's repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. One of the investigations is believed to be focused on whether Adams' mayoral campaign conspired with the Turkish government. Turkish government meaning that, and they're not the only entity that allegedly was a part of his mayoral campaign and him doing special favors and allowing for the Turkish government to be able to build over there and making exceptions with the fire department and all of this stuff. So they're saying that multiple different entities, including the Turkish government, played a role in influencing what was going to happen in New York City as far as them getting special favors in exchange for contributing to and assisting him in his mayoral campaign. Goes on to say to receive illegal campaign contributions from foreign sources. As a part of that probe, the FBI last year searched a home in Brooklyn belonging to Adams' chief fundraiser. Goes on to say federal investigators have been looking into whether Adams pressured the city former fire commissioner to approve a new building housing the Turkish consulate despite safety concerns. Pay for play. Adams was still Brooklyn's borough president when shortly after winning the Democratic mayoral primary in 2021, he reached out to then fire commissioner Daniel Negro. According to sources familiar with the matter, Adams encouraged Negro to evaluate a request from the Turkish government to use the building, which had not yet opened because the fire department officials refused to sign off on safety of its occupancy. Adams' phones were seized as a part of the inquiry, and FBI agents have questioned Negro as a witness at least twice. Sources familiar with the matter previously told NBC News, and they declined to comment. Goes on to say earlier this month, federal investigators searched homes and seized phones belonging to multiple top officials close to Adams. Police Commissioner Edward Cabin, who was among those whose phones were seized, resigned on September 12th, which was less than 13 days ago as of the recording of this video. His twin brother, James, a former police officer who owns a nightclub security business, also had his phone seized. Federal investigators are looking into whether James was paid by bars and clubs in Midtown Manhattan and Queens to act as a police liaison, and if those clubs were then afforded special treatment by local precincts, according to sources familiar with the matter. Of course they were. Of course they were. Why? Because this is a pay-for-play society. And the thing that these people don't understand is that if you are going to operate like this, because This is the reason why it's a power thing, and it's not about the salary. And we always looking at the salary of what these officials make and stuff like that. These people be rich by the time that they leave office. Let's continue. The Adams administration is also facing a public corruption investigation and another federal probe that led to the search of the homes belonging to Adams' former director of Asian Affairs. I reported on that on the Millionaire Morning Show. The mayor's indictment leaves the city government in a dire predicament, said Douglas Museo, a longtime Burke College political science professor who retired last year. Who's in charge? What is this policy direction? With so many people already have resigned, city agencies are in a sense rudderless. So you have all of these different people, and I just did a video today of New York Mayor Eric Adams on the Millionaire Morning Show talking about how he had commented and said, "Hey, yeah, we'll be okay. And New York City people we're resilient. Everybody is going to want these jobs, okay?" And so he was talking about that, but he's known for a long time that the hammer was coming down on him. And so we ain't even got to worry about it no more. The only question is, what are they charging them with? What do they have? And how deep does the rabbit hole go, right? So that's what I'm interested in finding out. Again, voted in there based off of identity politics, came in, let all of the migrants in. Now I'm trying to figure out who's dirty and why, because if you notice, and I'll tell you, for a long time throughout this migrant crisis, when they first started dropping migrants off and it started to be advertised, and Eric Adams was over there, clapping his hands as they was getting off the bus, and he was selling out y'all cities, and he would reach out to the Biden administration, but he would hear no answer. Come on, listen to me. He was reaching out to the Biden administration, and he was not getting an answer, and so he started to complain publicly, but then he got silenced. He was quiet after a while, and then he became a part of the organization as far as the 5 mayors that signed that letter that wanted additional resources, and they were celebrating yet wanting additional resources from the federal government to continue to assist them in the migrant crisis as far as them designated themselves as main hubs and sanctuary cities. So it was him, Eric Adams, the recently resigned or ousted mayor in Houston, who his administration had been getting a whole lot of public inquiries, and it was a lot of stuff that was going on with the water department and the water main breaks and stuff like that. So Houston now has a new mayor, but that old mayor was a part of his signature, was also on the paperwork for becoming a sanctuary city. Eric Adams, Karen Bass over there in LA, mayor of LA, Mike Johnston, the Denver mayor, and the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, Chicago mayor Brandon Johnson. Forgive me, because this is breaking news, and so everything that you hear me rattling off is things that just coming off the top of my head, because I am intimately familiar with this stuff, and I've been keeping up to date on everything that's been going on with all of these cities, with the migrant crisis, these federal probes, who's getting money where, and whether or not the federal government is even responding to people like Eric Adams. So Eric Adams had been publicly visible and complaining, but at the same time, he had been silenced. If you pay attention to this campaign, this Democratic National Convention, everything, it's very rare that you don't have the biggest city and the biggest mayor speaking at the Democratic National Convention, for example, Eric Adams. You've seen Brandon Johnson, but then people could say, well, Brandon Johnson was there because it was in Chicago. Cool, fair. Let's go over to the Republican side. Every all-star Republican was on that stage. Ron DeSantis, Governor Wheelchair down there in Texas. All of those people, right? And I think that Governor Wheelchair is the best. He could quite possibly be, the best governor in the United States of America right now. You had Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and all of these people were speaking at the Republican National Convention. You're missing the biggest, most influential city in America that was not even invited, didn't even show up to the Democratic National Convention, and Eric Adams. That's when I knew, when Biden stopped responding to his inquiries, when they basically isolated him and they put him on an island by himself, and he wasn't even invited to the party, yet he's the mayor of the biggest city in the United States of America with over 8 million people. That's the financial hub of the United States. And he not invited to the Democratic National Convention? Come on, fam. Eric Adams is in hot water as a result of it. So when I seen that raid and I started to see all of the pieces fall and everything around him, his entire administration, it was literally like, swooping down on him on the inside, from the outside in. and he hadn't been touched yet his devices had been confiscated. And then I started to hear about the, Turkish people and the Turkish consulate and all of that stuff and the favors and the different people that were getting paid for play and stuff like that, allegedly. I knew there was only a matter of time. It was just preparing ourselves. But we're seeing the fall of all of your leaders, all of the people that y'all elected that basically led y'all into the mire and is not doing the thing that's in the best interest of the people, but doing it for the best interest of themselves. So with that being said, I will be covering this on the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Shout out to Teach Hanley. And then come and kick it with me in Atlanta on November 2nd before the election. We got a live show. Let's rant about it. And then on top of that, we're going to be over in Detroit on December 14th. And then I'm going to do a Patreon meetup one of those days around those dates to make sure that I add value into your lives. You're hearing it from me first. Anton Daniels. Again, tune into the Millionaire Morning Show. We're going to have live coverage of it in the morning. I'm going to give y'all more details as they come out, and I'm going to stay on top of this. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll holler at you later. Peace.